This video is about the alpha loved his teacher's daughter, but the law forbade it. If this story captivates you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. The moon hung low in the night sky, a silver beacon that illuminated the sprawling forest surrounding the small town of Eldridge. Within these woods, the howls of the Silver Fang pack echoed, resonating through the trees like a haunting melody. At the heart of the pack was Alpha Kellen, a figure of both power and enigma, with striking emerald eyes that seemed to hold the mysteries of the night. Kellen had always been destined to lead. His lineage was steeped in strength and dominion. But beneath his facade of unwavering control lay a heart that yearned for something it could never have. As the pack's alpha, he had sworn to uphold the ancient laws, but every glance at a certain fiery-haired girl made those laws feel like chains binding his soul. Her name was Leela, the daughter of his former teacher, a gentle soul who had taught him the ways of the pack and the importance of duty. She was everything he admired: intelligent, passionate, and fiercely independent. Leela had a spirit that danced like the firelight, pulling at Talon's heartstrings with a ferocity he couldn't ignore. As he walked through the pack's territory one evening, Callan felt an irresistible pull guiding him to the clearing where Leela often spent her afternoons. The scent of wildflowers filled the air, mingling with pine and earth, crafting an intoxicating perfume that drew him near. There she was, sitting cross-legged on the grass with a sketchbook balanced on her lap. The moonlight caressed her sun-kissed skin, enhancing her beauty, making her appear almost ethereal. Talon's breath hitched as he stepped closer, catching the faint scent of honeysuckle that lingered around her. "Leela," he called softly, his voice barely above a whisper. She looked up, her azure eyes widening in surprise before softening into a smile that warmed him from the inside out. "Callan, I didn't think you'd be out here." He took a seat beside her, the grass cool beneath him. "I needed some air. The pack has been restless lately." "Is it the full moon?" she asked, tilting her head. The moon's glow illuminated her features, making her look even more enchanting. "Yes," he replied, his voice low. "The energy is building, and with it comes tension, but here, with you..." He paused, searching her gaze for understanding. "I can breathe." Leela bit her lip, her brow furrowing in thought. "You carry so much weight on your shoulders, sometimes it feels like you're trapped." "Trapped," he echoed, the word tasting bitter on his tongue. "I am the alpha. I have to uphold the laws to protect the pack, but sometimes I wish I could escape them." "Escape?" Leela's eyes sparkled with mischief. "And go where?" "Anywhere but here," he admitted, feeling vulnerable under her questioning gaze. "Somewhere I can be just Kellen, not the alpha." Leela's smile faded, and Talon felt the gravity of their circumstances pressing down on them. The laws of their world were clear, and Alpha could never bind himself to a human or a teacher's child. It was an unspoken rule that had kept him from acting on the feelings that swelled within him like a storm. "I understand, Kellen," she said softly, breaking the silence that hung heavily between them. "But we can change the past. The pack needs you." "And what about what I need?" he challenged, his voice thick with emotion. "What about what we both want?" Her gaze dropped to the grass, and Kellen could see the internal struggle written on her face. "You know it is forbidden. We would be risking everything." Talon's heart raced, the wolf within him howling in protest against the constraints placed upon them. "But what if it is worth the risk?" Their eyes locked, and in that moment the world around them faded. A gust of wind rustled the leaves, almost as if nature itself was urging them to bridge the divide. Kellen reached out, his fingers brushing against hers, sending a spark of electricity through both of them. "Leela," he breathed, his voice thick with longing. "I don't want to be the reason you torn apart," she whispered, pulling her hand away as if the contact had burned her. "You have a duty, Kellen, and I am just a teacher's daughter." "Just a teacher's daughter?" Kellen echoed, anger bubbling beneath the surface. "You are so much more than that. You are my heart, Leela." Tears glistened in her eyes, and Talon's heart shattered at the sight. What if this is only a fleeting moment? What if it all ends badly? "Then let it end badly," he said fiercely, desperation edging his words. "But I refuse to let this moment slip away without telling you how I feel." Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating, as the weight of their unspoken desires hung heavily in the air. Leela's breast quickened, and Talon could see the battle raging within her. He wanted to reach for her again, to pull her into him, but he held back, afraid of pushing her away completely. "I need to go," she said suddenly, her voice trembling. "Before I forget the laws and let us both fall into darkness, we can't escape." "Leela, wait." But she was already standing, backing away slowly as if retreating from the edge of an abyss. Please don't follow me, she whispered, her voice breaking. And with that, she turned and ran, leaving Kellen alone in the moonlit clearing, his heart pounding in anguish. As he stood there, the moon watching silently, Kellen felt the loss like a physical blow. The ache of unfulfilled longing settled deep within him, and he knew that their paths were destined to intertwine, no matter the obstacles. Later that night, he returned to the pack, the howls echoing through the woods like sirens calling him home. But the warmth of his pack felt hollow without Lila's laughter mingling with the sounds of their world. He was surrounded by family, yet he felt utterly alone. Days turned into weeks, and the tension in the pack only grew. The full moon came and went, and with it, the remnants of Kellen's unspoken love festered in the shadows. He caught fleeting glimpses of Lila in town, her laughter ringing out like a bell, but he never approached her. The law loomed like a dark cloud, reminding him of the consequences of crossing boundaries. Every night as he lay in his bed, Kellen's thoughts spiraled into the depths of his heart. He knew he had to make a choice to uphold the laws and deny his feelings or to fight against fate for the sake of love. But as the moon waxed and waned, so did his hope, leaving behind a hollow void. Then one fateful night, he received a message that would change everything. A pack member, breathless and panicked, burst into his den. "Alpha Kellen, there's trouble. The hunters are coming." Kellen's heart raced as he felt the familiar surge of duty wash over him. The hunters had always posed a threat to their kind, determined to eradicate werewolves from existence. "Regather the pack," he commanded, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. As he prepared for the impending confrontation, Kellen knew Lila would be in danger if the hunters found her. A fierce protectiveness surged within him, mingling with the desperate hope that their destinies were still intertwined. He would face the hunters, not just to protect his pack, but to protect her too. Kellen clenched his fists, determination hardening in his heart. Tonight, he would fight for everything that mattered, even if it meant breaking the law that bound him. No longer could he deny the pull of destiny, or the burning love that threatened to consume him whole. The night sky was a tapestry of shadows and swelling clouds, the full moon peeking through as if reluctant to illuminate the tumultuous events to come. Kellen stood at the edge of a silver-fine territory, the weight of his pack heavy on his shoulders. His heart thudded in rhythm with the distant howls, a chorus of urgency echoing through the trees. Each howl was a reminder of what he stood to lose. "Alpha, are we ready?" The voice of Rucker, his second-in-command, broke through Kellen's thoughts, his loyal eyes filled with concern. Kellen turned towards him, the sharpness of his emerald gaze cutting through the night's tension. "No, we're not just ready for a fight, we need to protect our home and everyone in it." Each word felt like a solemn vow, a promise sealed with the fire of his love for Lila. "I'll gather the pack, but we need to act fast. The hunters won't wait for us," Riker replied, a sense of urgency shifting his stance. Lila. The name slipped from Kellen's lips with the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. He couldn't shake the image of her from his mind, her laughter echoing in his heart, and the way her eyes sparkled with defiance not just for herself, but for them both. "Focus, Kellen," Riker urged, snapping Kellen back to the present. "We'll protect her. We'll protect everyone." As Riker moved to gather the pack, Kellen felt the instinctual tug pulling him toward Lila, a bond that transcended the laws that bound him. He had to see her, to ensure she was safe before the storm broke. He sprinted through the forest, the wind whipping against him as he followed a scent. The familiar notes of honeysuckle mixed with wildflowers led him to a small clearing near the edge of town. There, he found Lila, caught in the act of sketching under the moonlight, blissfully unaware of the chaos looming over their world. "Lila," he called, his voice urgent, yet soft enough to not startle her. She looked up, surprise widening her azure eyes before shifting into relief. But that relief quickly morphed into worry as she rose, her sketchbook dropping to the ground. "Kellen, what are you doing here?" "I had to find you." He stepped closer, his heart racing at the sight of her, so radiant yet vulnerable. "The hunters are coming, you're in danger." Her expression hardened, shadowed by the weight of reality. "And what do you expect me to do, hide away like a frightened rabbit while you fight for the pack?" "Lila, this isn't about you being scared. This is about survival." Kellen's voice was thick with desperation. "I can he paused, his breath hitching. "I can lose you." Her gaze softened for a brief moment, a flicker of understanding flashing there. "You don't get it, do you? You're the Alpha. You have duties, responsibilities. I am just a girl with dreams." "Not just a girl," he countered fiercely, stepping closer. "You're my mate, whether the laws recognize it or not, and I refuse to let anyone take you from me." Lila's breath caught, her cheeks flushed with emotion. "Kellen, we can't." "Why not?" he interrupted, his voice rising with fervor. Why can't we rewrite our fate? Why can't love defy the laws that seek to tear us apart? Because it is dangerous, she cried, tears glistening in the corners of her eyes. If the pack finds out, if the hunters find out, we'll all both be targets. No more running from this, he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, laden with longing. I want to let fear dictate my heart. That's easy for you to say, you read the alpha, she shot back, frustration spilling over. You have a pack to protect, a legacy to uphold. I am just a distraction. He took a step closer, his heart pounding against his ribcage. You think you're a distraction. You're the reason I wake up in the morning. You're the heartbeat of my world. Her eyes met his, and in that moment, the weight of their unspoken bond hung between them, electric and alive. Kellen, she started, her voice trembling. Promise me you'll stay safe, he said, desperate to keep her close. We'll get through this together. Before she could respond, a rustle in the trees pulled them back to reality. Kellen's instincts flared, and he could sense danger closing in. We need to go, now. They turned together, the urgency of the moment eclipsing their personal struggles. Kellen grasped Lila's hand, intertwining their fingers, and they dashed into the woods, the shadows looming like specters behind them. The pack had gathered at the edge of their territory, poised and ready. Kellen could see the tension etched into every face, their hearts beating as one in his presence. He felt the weight of their trust, and it spurred him to rise to the occasion. Everyone, Kellen called as they approached, the weight of his voice slicing through the silence. The hunters are on our doorstep. We are stronger together, and we will fight for our home. From the back, Riker stepped forward. We fight for our families, our land, and for love. The pack erupted in howls of agreement, their spirits igniting the air with energy. Kellen felt his heart swell, but as he glanced at Lila, a flicker of fear crossed her face. Do you think they'll come for me? She asked quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Not if I can help it, he replied, clenching her hand tighter. But you need to stay close to the den. If things go wrong, I need you to run. Lila nodded, her expression resolute, and Kellen felt a rush of pride mixed with heartache. He didn't want to hide her away, he wanted to fight by her side. As the first lights of dawn broke through the canopy, the sounds of distant voices pierced the air, carrying with them the chilling certainty of the hunter's approach. Kellen's heart surged. It was time. They formed a line, the Silverfang pack standing shoulder to shoulder, a wall of unity against the encroaching threat. Kellen took a deep breath, feeling the energy of his pack pulsating through him, feeling the fire within. Stay strong, fight for your loved ones, he shouted, raising his chin to the sky, and the pack roared in agreement. And then, like a storm crashing upon the shore, the hunters charged into the clearing, armed with weapons designed to hunt their kind. Kellen's wolf surged forward, instinct taking over as he lunged into the fray, a whirlwind of strength and fury. Protect Lila, he roared, his voice breaking through the chaos. He caught sight of her at the edge of the battle, her eyes wide with fear yet burning with determination. But in that moment, everything felt like a blur of shadows and violence. Kellen fought tooth and claw, the primal roar of the pack echoing around him. The scent of blood mingled with the crisp air, but he fought on, driven by the unwavering need to keep her safe. Time seemed to stand still as the clash of bodies and the cries of pain filled his ears. And then, through the haze, he saw a flash of movement aimed right at Lila. No, he shouted, launching himself through the chaos. He reached her just in time, pushing her out of the way as the hunter's blade glinted in the sunlight. The impact knocked him sideways, the metal slicing through his shoulder, searing pain lancing through his body. Kellen! Lila screamed, her voice a piercing note above the battle's roar. He fell to the ground, blood pooling beneath him, the world spinning. But the wolf within him was fierce, roaring with fury and defiance. Lila knelt beside him, her hands shaking as she pressed against the wound. Stay with me, she cried, panic lacing her voice. I can't lose you, not like this. Kellen met her eyes, the connection forging a bond stronger than any law. You want to lose me, Lila, I am here, I'll always be here. In her eyes, he saw the reflection of all their unspoken dreams, all the love they had shared in stolen moments. Summoning the last reserves of his strength, he pushed himself up, leaning against her for support. The tide of the battle shifted, the pack rallying around them, fueled by the sight of the alpha fighting through the pain. Kellen howled, the sound raw and powerful, and the pack answered in kind, a wave of unity crashing against the hunters. With renewed vigor, they pushed forward, the hunters' resolve crumbling under the force of their love and loyalty. Kellen found himself standing, though every movement sent jolts of pain through him. Keep fighting, he urged, his voice hoarse but fierce. For each other, for love, for our future. With one last push, the silver-fanged pack surged forward, driving the hunters back into the shadows of the battle raged on, a cacophony of howls and cries echoing through the dense midnight woods. Kellen fought with ferocity, but even as he pushed through the pain in his shoulder, every ounce of him was drawn to the figure of Leela, who knelt on the ground, panic etched across her beautiful features. "Don't you dare close your eyes." Leela shouted over the chaos, her voice fierce yet trembling as she pressed her hands against his wound. "You be not leaving me, Kellen, not like this." Her words ignited the flame of determination within him, pushing back the darkness threatening to engulf him. "I am not going anywhere," he gasped, his breath ragged. "Not when you be by my side." But as Kellen leaned into Leela's touch, he could feel the weight of the circumstances pressing heavily upon him. The law, the danger, the pack had all loomed like a dark cloud threatening to separate them. Yet here they were, bound by their hearts, refusing to let the world dictate their fate. With each howl of pain from his pack, a wolf within Kellen surged with primal urgency. He growled, the sound reverberating deep in his chest, and pushed against the pain coursing through him. "We fight for love, for our future," he roared, the very essence of his being ignited with ancestral strength. "Stay close," he barked at Leela, who looked ready to leap into the fray, but he could see the fear bubbling beneath her resolve. "I need you safe, Leela. Promise me you'll stay back." She nodded, her eyes glistening with tears, a fierce determination sparking in their depths. "I promise, but you have to be careful, please. Kellen, don't you do anything reckless." He smiled, the warmth of her spirit cutting through the cold grip of fear tightening around him. "Reckless is my middle name," he teased, even though the pain made it hard to laugh. But the light in Leela's eyes made him feel invincible. He had to protect her, even if that meant sacrificing everything. As Kellen surged back into the battle, he felt the rippling energy of his pack rallying around him. They were a family, united not just by blood but by the threads of destiny that wove their fates together. He fought like a whirlwind, his body moving with an agility that belied the injury he bore. "Kellen?" Riker's voice pierced through the chaos. "The hunters are regrouping at the north end. We need to push them back." Kellen nodded, his eyes catching sight of Leela, who stood at the edge of the clearing, fear and determination etched across her face. "We fight as one." Kellen bellowed, his voice carrying over the tumult. "For our pack, for our love." With a surge of adrenaline coursing through him, he led the charge, his pack flanking him on all sides. They moved like a synchronized force, their instincts guiding them as they fought against the hunters threatening their home. Kellen's heart raced with every strike, every howl, and every moment he felt Leela's presence just beyond the fray. But as the battle wore on, fatigue seeped into his bones like poison. He felt the toll of his injuries, the weight of each blow he'd taken. Just as he began to doubt his strength, a flash of movement caught his eye, a hunter, lurking in the shadows with a weapon aimed directly at Leela. "Leela," he shouted, panic slicing through him as he lunged forward, instinct driving him as he felt the world narrow to that single moment. Time seemed to slow as he pushed through the chaos, his heart pounding in rhythm with the roars of battle. He leaped, colliding with the hunter just as the shot fired, the crack of the bullet a deafening sound against the night. Kellen felt the sharp pain in his side, but he fought through it, locking his grip on the hunter's wrist and twisting it until the weapon fell from his grasp. "Stay away from her," he growled, throwing the hunter to the ground with a force fueled by desperation. But even as he fought, he felt the adrenaline fading, darkness creeping around the edges of his vision. "Ellen." Leela's voice rang clear, full of raw panic. She rushed to his side, her hands trembling as they searched for signs of injury. "You have to be okay. Please tell me you're okay." He groaned, forcing a smile despite the pain seeping into his bones. "That's just a scratch," he lied, though the searing heat in his side betrayed his words. Dante brushed this off, she shouted, her eyes blazing with frustration and fear. "You hurt, you need help." "I am fine, Leela," he insisted, though he felt the truth slipping away. "We need to finish this." But before he could rise, another hunter barreled toward them, rage etched across his features. Leela's scream echoed through the air as Kellen pushed himself upright, ready to protect her at all costs. With a snarl, he intercepted the hunter, his wolf surging to the forefront as he fought with everything he had left. "Stay back," he roared at Leela, his focus narrowing to the threat before him. "This isn't your fight." But fate had already woven its web between them. The hunter struck, and the world exploded into a chaos of sound and motion. Pain erupted where the blade cut into his flesh, but Kellen gritted his teeth, pushing through the agony. He couldn't fail. He wouldn't allow it. With a final surge of strength, he tackled the hunter to the ground, their bodies crashing against the earth. Kellen fought with a ferocity that surprised even him, fueled by love and the desperate need to protect Leela. He felt the weight of his pack behind him, their energy igniting his spirit as the sounds of battle enveloped him. Together, Riker shouted, his voice rallying the pack into one unified force. They surged forward, and Kellen could feel their strength pouring into him, a tide of solidarity that refused to waver. But just as victory felt within reach, a chilling realization coursed through Kellen. Leela was still vulnerable, still exposed. Leela, he cried out, but the words were barely a whisper against the growing storm of battle around him. He turned, scanning the battlefield until his eyes found her once more, standing at the edge, her face pale but fierce. "Stay back," he shouted, desperation wrapping around his heart like a vice. But fate had other plans. In his moment of distraction, a figure emerged from the shadows, a hunter with a twisted smile that sent ice through Kellen's veins. "You thought you could protect them," the hunter sneered, raising a weapon high above his head. "That?" Kellen roared, desperation clawing at his throat as he lunged toward Leela. "Get down." But it was too late. In a heartbeat, the hunter pulled the trigger, and time froze once more, the world narrowing to the sound of a gunshot echoing through the air. Kellen's heart plummeted as he watched Leela's body crumple, a horror of what he'd failed to protect shooting through him like a spear. "Leela!" he screamed, the sound tearing at the fabric of his soul. Time unraveled as he rushed to her side, every heartbeat a drum of dread pounding through him. He dropped to his knees, cradling her in his arms, the world around them fading into the background. Her eyes fluttered open, pain etched into her features as she looked up at him, confusion and fear mingling in her gaze. "Kellen, No, no, no," she cried, the panic flooding through him. "Stay with me, Leela. Don't you dare leave me." Her hand trembled as it reached for his face, a ghost of a smile playing on her lips even as her breath became shallower. I am sorry. Don't you apologize. You're stronger than this. Fight, Leela. Fight for us," he urged, desperation flooding in his voice as he pressed his hands against her wound, willing her to stay with him. But with every passing second, he felt the warmth of her life slipping away. "We rebound, Kellen," she whispered, the strength in her voice faltering, the words laced with a haunting finality. "Our love is stronger than this. Kellen, we'll find a way." Riker shouted, his eyes filled with determination. "We have to keep fighting." But Kellen's heart was breaking, the weight of loss crashing down upon him like a wave. "No, not like this. We can't be separated." And as Leela's eyes fluttered closed, Kellen felt the bond they shared resonate in the depths of his soul, the love they fought for intertwining around them like a protected shield. "I love you," he whispered, desperation clawing at his heart as tears streamed down his face. "You're my everything." In that moment, the world felt impossibly heavy, the weight of loss and love intertwining in a bittersweet dance. But Leela's spirit, fierce and defiant, echoed through the shadows. "All with Kellen, all with..." With that, she slipped away, leaving behind an emptiness. Kellen's world shattered, the very fabric of his existence unraveling like mist in the sun. The battlefield faded, leaving only the echo of Leela's last breath ringing in his ears. A warmth slipped from his embrace, and all that remained was cold and insurmountable void that swallowed every flicker of hope. "No," he howled, the sand rippling through the chaos around him. Anger and grief collided within him, igniting a fire that surged through his veins. With a primal scream, he rose to his feet, the pain in his shoulder forgotten as he faced the hunters with a fury he had never known. "You will pay," he bellowed, his voice raw and unyielding, a potent promise that resonated with the raw power of the wolf within. A surge of energy coursed through him, fueled by the heartbreak, the injustice, and the love that had been ripped from him too soon. With a speed that belied his injuries, Kellen launched himself into the fray, a blur of fire and fury as he fought like a tempest. Each hunter that crossed his path became a target for his wrath, the primal instincts within him driving him to protect what little remained of his shattered world. He clawed and bit, his wolf surging forth as he fought for revenge, a silent tribute to Leela's memory. The pack rallied around him, inspired by the loss that now fueled their alpha. Riker leaped into the fray beside him, his loyal eyes gleaming with determination. For Leela, he roared, their bond amplifying the ferocity coursing through the pack. For Leela, they howled, a rallying cry that pierced the night as they surged forward. Together, they became an unstoppable force, the shadows of despair transformed into a blinding light of unity, a bond stronger than any law that sought to keep them apart. But even as victory loomed on the horizon, Kellen felt the weight of sorrow pressing down on him, suffocating him with every blow he struck. Memories of Leela flooded his mind, her laughter weaving through the echoes of pain, her smile illuminating the darkness that surrounded him. "Stay close," he shouted to his pack, his voice a beacon amid the chaos. The hunters were relentless, but so were they. With every strike and every howl, Kellen felt their spirits entwined, a mystical bond that tethered them together, transcending the boundaries of life and death. Yet the darkness of loss threatened to engulf him, a shadow that whispered of betrayal and longing. Kellen fought harder, driven by the need to honor Lila's spirit, the essence of their love extending beyond the confines of the physical world. He could almost feel her presence urging him forward, pushing him to reclaim what was lost. Push them back, Riker shouted, rallying their forces. Talon felt the primal energy of the pack surge around him, their love for each other igniting the very air with electric tension. They struck as one, their unity impenetrable, a force that could not be shaken. But just as the tide began to turn, as the hunters faltered beneath their ferocity, a terrible figure emerged from the shadows, a hunter clad in dark leather, eyes gleaming with malevolence. Kellen's heart sank as he recognized the face of a former pack member, betrayed by greed and power, now a weapon wielded against them. "Isn't he this poetic?" the hunter sneered, eyes narrowing as he surveyed the carnage. "The alpha loses his beloved and his pack crumbles around him. It is almost too easy." "Betrayer!" Helen growled, his voice low and dangerous, the wolf howling in rage. "You will pay for this." The hunter laughed, a sound devoid of humanity. "Oh, I could say the same to you, Alpha, but you see, I wasn't just after your pack. I wanted you to suffer, and it seems Leela has played her part perfectly." Kellen's blood turned to ice at the mention of her name, rage igniting a fire within him. "You will not speak her name," he roared, lunging forward, but the hunter was quicker, evading his attack with a twisted grin. "Yuri so blinded by love that you can't see Yuri already lost," the hunter taunted, drawing a knife that glinted menacingly in the moonlight. "Let us see how much you care when you've lost everything." With a swift motion, he swung the blade toward Kellen, but time slowed for the Alpha. He felt the primal energy coursing through him, a bond with his pack that defied the odds. With a surge of power, he intercepted the hunter, their bodies colliding in a brutal clash. They grappled, flesh and fury, Kellen's wolf roaring within him, a tempest of strength. But as he fought, he could see the pack rallying around him, their eyes fierce with determination, their hearts beating as one. They were family, a bond forged in blood and love, and he would not let anyone tear them apart. Together, he bellowed, and the pack surged forward, a wave of fur and unity crashing against the hunter. Their collective strength overpowered the darkness, a breathtaking display of love and loyalty that filled the air with hope. The hunter faltered, fear flickering in his eyes for the first time. "No, you canteen." But Kellen would not allow him to finish. With one final push, he threw the hunter to the ground, the pack encircling him, their eyes glinting with fury. "For Leela," they shouted, their voices a fierce echo of the love that had been lost. With one final strike, Kellen felt the weight of the hunter's darkness lift as the pack surged forward, a wave of energy that sent the remaining hunters fleeing into the darkness. The battle was won, but the victory felt hollow without Leela's laughter ringing in his ears. As the dust settled, Kellen fell to his knees, the harsh reality of his loss crashing down upon him like a tidal wave. The pack gathered around him, their expressions a mix of grief and strength, each one bearing the weight of loss. "Alpha." Riker knelt beside him, his voice heavy with sorrow. "We did it. We fought for her." Kellen nodded, tears streaming down his face as he looked at his pack, the family he had fought to protect. But at what cost? He whispered, anguish seeping into his words. "I failed her. I couldn't save her." "Leela wouldn't want you to blame yourself," Riker said softly, placing a comforting hand on Kellen's shoulder. "She knew the risks. She chose to fight alongside you. But she shouldn't have had to fight at all." Kellen's voice cracked, the pain of loss tearing through him. She was innocent, caught in the crossfire of this cursed fate. Riker's grip tightened, his gaze steady. "We all chose to love fiercely, even knowing the dangers. Leela knew that, and she wouldn't want you to carry this burden alone." As the reality of Riker's words settled in, Kellen felt the flickering flame of hope ignite deep within his heart. Leela's spirit, fierce and unwavering, lived on in the hearts of those who loved her. "You were right," he said, his voice stronger now. "We will honor her memory. We will fight for her legacy." With renewed determination, Kellen stood, his heart heavy yet fierce, the fire of purpose igniting within him. He faced his pack, the weight of their love and loyalty giving him strength. "We will rebuild," he declared. "We will honor Leela by living boldly. We will not let fear or loss dictate our fates." The pack erupted in howls of agreement, their voices intertwining in a chorus of unity, a tapestry of love that wove around them like an unbreakable bond. They were a family, and together they would reclaim their destiny. Yet even as Killen faced the dawn of a new day, the ache of loss lingered, a bittersweet reminder of the love that had transformed him. Leela's spirit would forever be with him, guiding him toward a future that shimmered with possibility. As the sun rose high in the sky, casting a golden hue over the forest, Killen felt a whisper on the breeze, a gentle caress that carried Leela's essence. Always, it seemed to say, filling him with warmth and hope. "I will always love you, Leela," he whispered into the wind, knowing that somewhere, in the realms beyond, she watched over him, a guardian spirit entwined with his heart. And as he took the first steps toward a future shaped by love, he knew that their bond transcended even death, a love that would endure, a legacy forged in the fires of destiny, stronger than any law that dared to keep them apart.